So
Cool beans.
I'm Sareth, and I am sitting here with Mark Miller. He is a creative executive of Clive Barker's Seraphim Films.
Sure.
How are you today,
Doing
Mr.
well.
Miller?
How are you, sir?
Fantastic.
Good to be sitting here with you.
Thank you, likewise.
Oh, thank you.
Well, I guess we can go to the very beginning and talk about our journeys here.
Let's do it.
What brought us here as the guys from, like, the good guys from Lord of the Rings or something like that.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah. We've traveled through Mordor.
Yeah, for sure.
We passed through the volcano.
Dragons and stuff. So, how did everything, how did you link up with Clive?
Well, obviously I was a fan, like I know that you were, and I made it so that I could come up here. You know, I knew that I had to get up here by any means necessary. And the first time I ever met Clive, he was in his writing room, and I think he was writing the end of Aberrat 3, and the Cockers had just been born, and I remember walking in, just, you know, having my mind blown that I was actually here. And he showed me some pictures from Imagining Man, and that was, you know, still at the very beginning of that. And he showed me this one picture. It was a man that had been fully painted, all except for his penis, and that was just I think the man was painted all white, and his dick was just hanging out, so it was like it stood out, and I just turned to Clive and smirked, and I said, "It kind of looks like a dog's dick." And he went nuts for it. Like I'll never forget. It was like he was so excited. Like that was the best thing he'd ever heard. And he went to his table and he wrote it down. He was like, "Yeah, that exactly." And I was just like, "Oh my God, I gotta come back. I gotta make this happen again." And the images were sort of my in, and I said, "Hey, you know, you obviously turn people into canvases. I'd love to do that with you." And so we did it. And just from there, we struck up a friendship and kept coming back. And every time I came, there was something else to do until I officially started working here. You know, it's obviously an indirect path to any job, I think. But it's been a hell of a ride.
Most definitely.
How about you?
The indirect approach is probably the best approach to anything.
Seems that way.
Yeah. I mean, nobody wants you to come out in full force. You gotta take some steps.
That's right.
Kind of like LA.
Yeah.
Yes.
Otherwise you're scared.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like, but I guess my road. Should I face the camera?
Whatever you want, man. Let's just chat.
Yeah.
Let's have a conversation.
We can edit that out later. I guess my journey was I needed an internship to graduate college, and I was always told, "No, you can't do that until you're a senior." I'm like, "No, you just still do it."
Mm-hmm.
You know? And so one day I wrote Clive his website.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Phil and Sarah Stokes. Chris Koloff, if this wouldn't have been possible without you just forwarding that email, and thank you. I want to take time out for that. And so Phil and Sarah forwarded my email, and I went into full detail. Midnight Meat Train was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Books of Blood, Hellraiser, the whole nine.
Mm-hmm.
And they go, they forwarded it to Chris. Chris reached back out to me, had said, "Send in your resume, and we'll set up some dates for the interview, and that'd be perfect." And I'm like, "Cool." Sure enough, I thought he was joking.
Yeah.
First thing you think of,
sure.
Indirect approach. This is not.
You're like, yeah, right.
Yeah. And sure enough, it was real. And I remember knocking on this door, and when the gallery house was still here, the interview was brought up there, and I was freaking out because I gave my parents this address, and not the gallery house address, and that's where the interview was. And Clive walked up the stairs and asked me 3 questions. He was like, "So what do your parents think?" And I'm like, "Well, my dad's behind me 100%, but my mom, not so much. She's, I'm the baby of the family. She's not willing to let me go yet." And he was like, It was, why do you want to do this? And I'm like, because I want to be just like you. You know, the video games, the action figures, the comic books, the books, and the movies. It's like the whole shebang. I'm like, yeah, the whole shebang. And he caught me off guard with this one. He was like, so did you come out here for business or pleasure? And I didn't know him that well yet, you know, and I'm like, well, I guess a little bit of both. You know, we went to Disneyland, did some sightseeing, you know, and I didn't know his sense of humor at that point. And he goes, all right, I love you, kid. You're in. And I was like, wow.
See, man, you have that effect on people.
It's unreal.
Everywhere you go. Second you get there, people love you. Yeah. It's nuts.
I don't know.
I don't know how you do it.
It just happens. I can't explain it either. It's
That's fantastic.
He said, in order for you to get your internship, you have to write me every single week.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that being part of the story. I always thought that there was there was a contest at the end of Mr. Be Gone.
Oh yeah, I left that important part out. My apologies. See, that's why Mark is like.
That's why we're doing
that's
this.
Buzz right here, you know. I read Mr. Be Gone, and that was the book that set everything off too, from the very beginning. I guess we can edit this part, put this in the beginning. My apologies.
Clip.
I was broke. You know, I didn't have a job, and I went to Barnes & Noble in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and I just picked up the book, waiting for an appointment with my doctor, and then I was 50 pages in, and I said to my parents, I need $30 for this book. I'm going to Barnes & Noble in my town, Pueblo, Colorado, which I love. Follow. And I'm picking up this book, and I'm going to read it. And sure enough, there was a part in it where Jack Box was jumping on the page, and the ceiling fan was on. And then it said, you know, he said something about, you seen that page moving, that's me jumping on your page. And I look up at the ceiling, and there's no ceiling fan. And I'm like, and it was moving. I'm like, oh well, this is destiny. Like,
it's deep.
Yeah, it freaked me out. And then, you know, the whole, that's where I wrote him an email and everything, all that. And he says, in order for you to get your internship, you have to write me every single week until you get here. And I kept on going back to my computer, just writing everything that happened in my life. 9 pages turned to 20 pages, 20 turned to 22 each single week. And it turned me into a writer, which I dreaded because, like, all my papers in school, I would always get D's and F's.
Yeah.
You know, nobody saw what I was saying. And plus I was late with all my assignments too, so that really didn't help.
It doesn't help.
But I just dreaded it because, like, English is my second language. And you know,
See, I didn't know that either. Learn something new every day.
My first language is Khmer, which is Cambodian. It's the language of Cambodia.
Say hi in Khmer.
Saksabai.
That was a poem. That was awesome.
Thank you.
How do you say hi in Khmer? Saksabai.
Exactly. That's pretty neat. And yeah, and you turn me into a writer. You know, I put everything I had in those emails, and like Clive was with me pretty much from my darkest days to my brightest hours, or whatever you want to say that, and then this happened.
Now, do you remember the first time we met?
First time we met. How did we here?
It was here, because I'm not surprised that you don't remember. You're definitely the kind of person that, well, I mean, aside from a select few, but you're the kind of person that people meet and don't forget. And I came over. I think it was just to hang out, or maybe it was for the mentorship. But I was sitting right there on the stoop in the foyer, and you were in what was, I think it was Nick's office at the time, and you just came right on out, and you stuck your hand out and said, "Pleased to meet you, I'm Sareth." And I was who the hell is this guy? And I just remember being blown away by you. You stood there and you told me, you know, all about, you told me your name, you told me where you were from, you came from Colorado, and that you made this movie, and it was just like all this, it was a torrent of information, and I was just, this guy's great. I don't know who he is, I don't know what his deal is, but he's fantastic. And it's funny too, because I even I came away from that meeting, and normally, you know, you can't walk away from Clive and not have a story to tell. But that day I walked away from the office and I was telling stories about you.
Wow.
He's like, there's this dude up there, his name's Sareth. This dude was a trip. He was fantastic. But that's all I remember. And I think that was your internship phase, and you had just come out here, and you had like the curly hair, and then you went back to Colorado shortly after that. But then you came back. And do you want to talk about that?
Oh, thanks. Well, should I include everything that week that happened?
Yeah, sure.
Wow.
You can give us the Cliff Notes.
The Cliff Notes?
Yeah.
Okay. So, something magical happened that told me to move here.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the Method Man, Red Man, Ghostface Killer show at the House Blues.
Mm-hmm.
And I just was waiting for my car. I'll just give you the Cliff Notes. The whole story is on my website, by the way. And RZA, Jizza's an artist, Arnell, so, you know, what are you doing at your internship with Clive Barker?
Mm-hmm.
You know, Hellraiser,
Mm-hmm.
Candyman.
Mm-hmm.
Goes, wow, that's neat. You don't sound like it from Colorado. So I was like, alright, this is weird. You know, I love the Wu-Tang Clan, by the way, or else I won't be wearing this. And so I had lunch with Ashley Lawrence that week.
Yeah.
And she gave me the names by name. She was like, I joked about it, you know, because my name's different. It's not the average Joe's name. And she was like, well, it's a destination name. You don't know where you came from, but you know where you're going. And I had lunch with Phil and Sarah too at that time, and everybody from the past, Nick and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
And on my last day, RZA shows up at the office, and we had like a 3-hour conversation and about life. And I'm like, this is just unreal.
Yeah, yeah.
And I went to drag Clive, you know, I told him the story, like text message him, like RZA's did this with Quentin Tarantino and the connection with Quentin Tarantino, and it's like, you know, he called you, to call you a horror writer, it's like calling the Beatles a garage band.
Right.
So everything was just like coming together.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, I can't do this at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, came so far.
So close.
And he comes in, and I'm just like putting away books, organizing it.
Yeah.
For the last time, and I was like, emotions were running wild, and I was crying, you know, when I saw him, when he walked in, and he cried, and he goes, I want you to come back forever. And I'm like, alright, I'll finish up school.
Nice.
I guess I'll come back forever, whatever forever means, and yeah, that's how I came back.
And the rest is history.
The rest is history.
And you've been here for, I mean, how long ago was that? What was that, 2009?
Yeah.
Man.
Almost 4 years.
Yeah.
So 4 years is forever. 4.
See that? That's how his mind works.
And
it's simply better than ours.
No. And he gave me a painting, actually. It's in the corner of the wall. You won't be able to see it. And
you could swivel.
If you want to. So I hung it up here for a while. Thank you, sir. And I've hung it up, you know, and in the back it has a really cool inscription. And he said, on the back he goes, well, we're going to be writing a lot of chapters together, and the fun is yet to begin.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really think of much of that, you know, because he can tell the future like crazy. And sure enough, I wrote 6 books out here, published them. Those are my chapters. He's written chapters for.
That's impressive.
Abrath.
Yeah.
You know, and the fun was, you know, I wanted to work at a major studio, but I found this independent studio where they love to pieces.
Yeah.
And
we all sort of kind of grew up together.
We did. I
mean, you know, we were just bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and, you know, we just wanted to work in the horror industry, and we all come here and meet at the same time, and you've written 6 books, and now I've written some comic books, and Clive's finished another novel. It's been a crazy time.
Yeah, and it's the fun.
Yeah.
That, you know, without a subscription, it's like that's the fun where it began.
Yeah.
And that was like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
When we saw that, it's like, what the hell?
He's good, man.
He's good.
It's like Cold Heart Canyon, right?
It's like Cold. That's the most recent book I read. By the way. Like everything's like to the T from like the last month or so.
And it just blew your mind.
Oh shit. Sorry about that. Exactly, just blew my mind.
Well, there's a Lewis Carroll, the guy that wrote Alice in Wonderland. There's a line in Alice in Wonderland that I always paraphrase, and I say it all the time. I'll repeat myself again, but it's he says that it's a sort of a poor kind of memory that only works backwards, and I think that describes Clive in a lot of ways. But it's anything but poor. I think it's he sees things without even seeing it. You know, he puts it down and it comes full circle so many times that it's freaking scary.
It is. How he does it, nobody knows.
I don't know.
It's unlocking the mystery. It's like solving the puzzle box. It's like,
Yeah, but I'm happy to be on the ride, and I'm happy to have you as a part of it.
Thank you so much. It means a lot.
Always.
And so, the Nightbreed thing. How did you find the footage? Like, can you go into full detail?
Sure. Why not?
The Cliff Notes. If you
Yeah, I'll give you the Cliff Notes. I didn't even know. Nightbreed was a thing that I saw when I was like 13 or 14. I used to ride my bike to the video store with my aunt, and we would just rent horror movies and try to find the most messed up things we could find. And we rented Nightbreed one day, and I saw it then, and I didn't really understand it at the time, but I was familiar with it. And then when I came up here and became friends with Clive, I was inspired by him, and I wanted to find out more about him. And I went on IMDb, and I found out that there was actually missing footage. And so I just sent him a text. I was like, hey, what's going on with all this missing footage? Are there plans in motion? And there's all this like theorizing on the internet. Oh, it's coming out this time, and there's supposed to be a big Laserdisc release, and just like all this stuff that never happened. And Clive texted me immediately and just said, yeah, I have no idea where the footage is. If you could find it, that'd be friggin' awesome. So I came up here and I took a meeting with him, and he told me like where to start looking, and I called Morgan Creek, and I talked to Mark Goldblatt, who edited it, and eventually they were doing some spring cleaning here in the supply closet and just found a bunch of dusty tapes in the back of the closet. And because Nightbreed had sort of been on everyone's minds, they said, well, shit, we should take a look at this. And we sent it to Phil and Sarah because it was PAL, and they digitized it, and lo and behold, there were 2 tapes with all the material that had been shot, in VHS quality, but it was there. And then the rest is essentially history. We went to Horror Hound that year, which I think was early 2010, maybe March 2010. And that was a learning experience all its own. But we screened the raw footage, and a lot of people walked out because there was no narrative. It was just basically it was dailies. But a lot of people stayed, the diehards, because you had to see Nightbreed footage that you'd never seen before. And then Russell Charrington got wind of this, and I sent him a couple discs, and he went and sort of and got together with his friend Jimmy and edited this Cabal cut, which is the novel Cabal as it was meant to be filmed, and we've been touring the world with it now, and it's taken on a life of its own, and we're actually close to getting a DVD release, and it's out of control. Clive. When Clive was mentoring me, he used to give me a lot of books of poetry, and there's one that stayed with me by this German poet and philosopher named Goethe, and it said, just plain and simple, there is magic in boldness. And it's like I was bold enough to say, hey, you think I could, maybe try and find this footage? And it's like if this were a movie, you would see that text message, and then you jump cut to 2 years later, and here we are sitting talking about Morgan Creek actually officially releasing the DVD. It's nuts.
Yeah.
Like the New Beverly screening.
The New Beverly screening was just out of hand. I remember when I just flew in from Colorado, and I was like so jet lagged. I'm like, I'm not missing this. Even if I fall asleep, I'm just not gonna miss this. You know, and it was sold out for the first screen that they had to put a second one.
Yeah. Like I got nervous when I drove up to the New Beverly and I saw the line around the block. I can do conventions because that's like, that's my turf. You know, that's common ground. That's people that are into horror there to go see, to geek out on horror people like I do. But this was like, you know, this is LA. They'll eat you alive out here. And I just saw that line around the block and that freaked me out, man.
Wow. Amazing how what you did, you know, and what they found and all, or what you found too. It's like that whole mythology, and it's nothing new to Clive.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, such a following for every single thing that he's made.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, when we went to Comic-Con together, it was just like seeing people from Sweden, Australia, and just to go see him.
Yeah.
I remember he did not even, like, I remember some people were charging for autographs, and he didn't.
Yeah.
They had to separate the line and, like, so that way people could walk through.
Yeah.
Wild. I'm like, oh,
He does that.
It's like, one day, if I ever become a famous author or imaginer like Clive, that's the effect that I want on people, and not charging for any of it. Because that's just amazing.
That's one of the reasons everyone likes you.
Well, that's magic. You know, and I noticed that too. Like when I get autographs from, nice segue by the way of this one. When the Hellraiser comic books come in town, and you're like, you know, with special thanks to Ben Mears, who's just standing behind the camera.
Cameraman extraordinaire.
Yes, hello. They autograph that and without charging. You know, and like you can always tell, you know.
I mean, I'd have to be some kind of asshole to charge one of my best friends for an autographed comic.
So speaking of Hellraiser, the comic book, how did you get in there?
Sheer luck. My film school professor of mine used to say, luck is when is found at the corner of preparation and opportunity, and I think that's perfect because I was here. I was working. I think maybe even at that time as an intern, and the writer of the first 8 issues had Boom wanted to move on, and we hired a new guy. And he had missed his deadlines. Anthony DeBlasi, who made Dread and Casadega, and I think he was working on Casadega at the time, and he was like right in the middle of production, and I know he wanted to do the comic books so bad, and he just couldn't do it because he was so friggin' overwhelmed. And Boom just said, you know, it's nothing personal. We just have to. The comic is due. We need to move on. And so he turned in half of issue 9, and I finished that for him. And then we rolled over the contract, and I took over from there. And it was just it was only supposed to be a temporary thing because I was there at Seraphim. I'd been doing editing since the first issue. So I knew the story, and I had the time, and I'd obviously worked with Clive a lot, so I knew the voice, and I took over starting with issue 9, and I think they were set to replace me after maybe even 2 issues, but I guess I did a decent enough job, and they kept me on. The plan was to keep me on then till issue 16, so I had an arc planned out up to 16, and then they said, well, again, I think they just liked it, and they wanted to expand again, so I went from just writing 2 issues to writing up to issue 16, and then they expanded 16 to 20, so there was a lot of, alright, I guess, you know, I had set my trajectory here, but now I kind of got to, you know, throw some extra stuff in to make it over here. And then when issue 20 came, we had already used Brandon Seifert for The Road Below, and he did a phenomenal job. And during my Hellraiser arc, sort of became, you know, went from intern to creative to co-head of the company, which, you know, that's a hell of a learning curve. And
Which the hell balance.
Yeah, hey, there you go. It's perfect. And so I had to step down from Hellraiser because I didn't have the time anymore, and I was still getting my hands, you know, on a firm grip on what it meant to have this job. And now that I'm stabilized, and Boom was looking for more comics, and we took New Genesis to that.
Welcome to Chapter 2 of the Wu-Man Chu Chronicles.
That's right, Chapter 2.
Today we're going to speak of the written works of Mr. Mark Miller.
And Mr. Darker.
Oh, why thank you. I guess we will. So, The Sickness. That was the first script, I'm guessing, that you wrote for yourself?
I had written many scripts before The Sickness, but The Sickness was the first one I was happy with.
Okay.
And that was the one that I wanted to get made, and still do. And that was sort of the thing that I took the initiative to, you know, do the Kickstarter. Clive said it was cool. He'd be happy to provide signatures and all that stuff, which was, you know, phenomenal. And I think it was that gumption that made, I don't know, Clive want me here more often. He's always said, you know, we have the studio here, and he says it's here to be used, and he wants people to use it. And, you know, so I took advantage of that, and I said, you know, let's use what we have at our disposal, and we did the Kickstarter thing, and it was a success, and we shot it, and it was like, you know, the best weekend of my life, and just hoping that someone out there wants to make a zombie movie bad enough, and that the market. I mean, it's a tough thing because you don't want the zombie genre to die down, but in a way you also do, because, you know, there's a lot of zombie stuff out there right now, and so people are sort of hesitant to finance something like that. But by the same regard, if zombies aren't big, then, you know, people aren't going to want to finance something like that. So it's catch-22.
Most definitely.
So you got to find. It's all about you know, finding the right time for things.
Most definitely.
We'll get there.
I heard you won an award for the shot.
I did indeed. Thanks to my friend Sareth. That's a nice guy. I don't know if you've ever met him.
We've never been seen in the same place together.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know what the story is with that. It's like every time, like, he disappears and you come around the corner, and it's like, you gotta meet this guy Sareth. He's the coolest dude. And in the same way, and every time I see Sareth, I'm like, this guy Wu-Man Chu is the best. But one of these days, right?
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
But yeah, my good friend Sareth knows the guy that runs Shock Film Fest, and got us entry into that, and we won Best Trailer that year, and it was you know, an awesome night.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
He always tells me stories about that night. It was
pretty
epic night.
It wasn't that. Jason was there, Derek Mears, and I saw Tyler Main, and he was like a whole head taller than Derek Mears, and that was pretty funny.
Very cool.
Tall sons of bitches.
And so The Sickness wasn't the first trailer that you worked on. Aberrat.
That is correct. Aberrat we shot here at the studio, and that was after I had helped Clive edit book 3. You know, I was sitting here. It was probably 3 in the morning, and I just read the chapter called Cold Life, and I just saw. I mean, it was such a cinematic piece of writing. And I was like, this is the book. This is the resurrection of Carry-On. This is, you know, and I just saw him floating, this debris floating on the water, and it all like came to me in a flash. And I said, we gotta do it, and so we did it. And you know, Stephen Imhoff and Chris Alex did the makeup on that, and Steve was Christopher Carry-On, and he did a phenomenal job. And again, that was another day that was one of the best times.
That was pretty gnarly.
It was awesome, right?
Yeah.
You were a PA. You dropped gunk into Steve's mouth to give him that nasty, the green-toothed decay.
Well, I don't think Wu-Manchu was made back then.
That's right. That's right. I mean, Sareth May did that. I don't know where I came up with that. You know. No.
I think he tells me stories about it.
Yeah. That's why it feels so familiar, right?
I think
absolutely.
It could be seen on YouTube, all right?
Absolutely. You can see it on the Seraphim channel.
Pretty darn. Subscribe to that.
That's
recommend it.
That's right.
Yeah. And so you've written 2 lengthy books, right?
Mm-hmm. I have written 2 books.
Where do those inspirations come from? Where do those stories?
Just you know, they're inspired by Clive. I mean, that's the best way I can explain it. But the one that I wrote, the children's book, was oddly enough inspired by a trip to Magic Mountain.
Wow.
When I saw some squirrels running away from a roller coaster every time it flew by, and this whole story came into my mind, and so those are both, you know, sitting on my hard drive, just waiting to find a proper home. But I'm not convinced yet that books are my medium. I think I'm a good screenwriter, and I think I'm a decent comic book writer. Books, I'm not so sure. It's a tough thing.
It is.
You know, Clive does it like nobody's business.
Exactly. He inspires us all in all forms of media.
Absolutely.
Most definitely.
What about you, sir? Have you ever thought about writing a book?
Well, I have, you know, with those 6. I mean,
this is true. You do have 6 volumes.
Yeah,
collected works.
Exactly. They're not New York Times bestsellers or anything, because they're one of a kind.
Yeah.
And oftentimes people tell me, why don't you make photocopy them and sell them? And it's like, well, kind of hard to read chicken scratch, because the majority of the time I'm writing in the dark.
Yeah.
Or else it would be darker.
It's true.
Right?
It's true. And you're there, you know, in the corner of the venue with the music blasting.
Yeah. There's no other.
You're in the trenches, man.
Pretty much, yeah. You get like 10 minutes of the first 3 songs of the person you're shooting.
Yeah.
And there's an energy that passes through it that just is the audience gives to the artist, which the artist gives back to the audience. And those 10 minutes is just, or the first 3 songs, whichever comes first, is just a rush.
Yeah.
And you can't explain it, just this energy.
You're a combat journalist.
Yeah. It's pretty much where I get all my energy from, or else I wouldn't be doing it, you know, all the time.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's what I live for. And I found my calling.
It's fantastic. Now, what's next for Wu-Manchu?
The next step is Denver, 450 articles, maybe 6 more books probably, maybe more, I don't know, maybe less. Then Austin,
right.
Then New York, each time zone in London, just to pay homage to Clive, because he's the man that taught me how to write, to put my all into all my writings, and I only have 400 words to say something, tell a story, and I think I managed to do it.
I think so, every time. And I think you get better and better every time I read something. I mean, that last one, the last thing I read was pitch perfect.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow, thanks. Yeah. I think the last one was a ska show, and before that was Black Label Society, and that's the fun job. The fun part is like, you never know which genre you're going to cover next.
Sure.
And you don't want to get stuck in the same genre, or else
right.
you get less opportunities, I guess you could say.
And then you get pigeonholed, and people think you're this kind of writer or that kind of writer.
Yeah. And then, you know, when you listen to the Wu-Tang Clan, they get inspiration from soul music, and you can hear like violins and just an array of just instruments.
Yeah.
And that's why I want to just keep on going to different places, and you know, I don't write for a Pulitzer Prize or anything like that, or you know, be on the front page of news.
Well, that's what they say, writers, right?
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Ride or die.
There you go. Perfect.
Thanks.
That's perfect.
But yeah, I live for the music.
Awesome.
But yeah, and it's crazy. Like you know, I use concerts as my compass for Los Angeles. It shows me how to get to places and which shortcuts to take. Because Los Angeles is a really big city.
It is.
And so that's, you know, it's like Christopher Columbus, you know, sticking a flag in like a venue, like say I'm done with this one.
Yeah.
On to the next one. You know, it's like these Veni Vidi Vici or something like that.
Yeah. Nina Pinta Santa Maria and all that.
all that.
All
jazz. So what kind of music inspires you to write?
I would say when I'm writing, primarily instrumental. But that's what I listened to when I wrote the books a lot, was a lot of instrumental stuff, soundtracks, you know, the Clint Mansell and the Kronos Quartet and all that stuff is nothing beats it. But lately I've been taking a page out of Mr. B's books, and I've been putting on sort of the thematically linked films while I write. And so when I'm writing Hellraiser or you know, the new comic book, then I'm putting big sort of action movies on, and you know, larger horror films. And I think the last thing I had on, I had Cabin in the Woods on repeat.
Wow.
Yeah, and it you know, gives you this sort of, if you're looking, whatever you're looking for in the story, I think if you found it in something else, it's beneficial to have that on in the background, just to get that sense of whatever you're looking for.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Totally feel that one. I guess when Sareth writes his fiction,
Mm-hmm.
he turns on music, like when he wrote Rouge Rome, for
Mm-hmm.
example.
Mm-hmm.
He listened to Alice in Chains' Nat Shone and A Perfect Circle's Imagine.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why he chose
It's a good one.
Imagine by Perfect Circles because the story takes place in Cambodia, and a John Lennon song Imagine was on the Killing Fields. You heard it all the time. You could relate to it, and it's kind of like a new generation, but like totally different. Like you see the other side of the Khmer Rouge.
Yeah.
And
Because you get that from the song too.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the same thing, but it's flipped.
Yeah. It's much darker. It's not as light. It's,
Yeah.
The music video for it's very in your face, and I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, that's a fan. I haven't seen the video, but I'm a big fan of the song.
Oh yeah. Hits you pretty hard.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Let's see, where else? What other venues do you want to tackle?
I don't know. I think we covered a lot of ground. Well, it's been a real pleasure.
It has.
My only regret is that it took us this long to do it.
Yeah, mine too. I was just like, because I wasn't really, comfortable with the, cause it's like having a script.
Of course, yeah.
But
But I had a blast.
Yeah, likewise.
I hope Wu Manchu takes over the world.
Hopefully, I was thinking about retiring him.
No way, man. He's got it. Well, I mean, it's his call, what he wants to do with his life. But Wu Manchu will always live in my heart.
Thanks.
Thanks for doing this. This was fun.
We've had some crazy adventures together, haven't we?
We have indeed, sir. I look forward to more.
Likewise.
Sir?
Sir. Amazing.
Absolutely. I'm Mark Allen Miller. I'm the co-head of Seraphim Films, and you're watching the Wu Manchu Chronicles.
Awesome. Can you give a Wu Manchu Chronicles shout out?
How do I do that?
Say,
I'd be happy.
I'm Mark Miller, and you just seen.
Is there like something I should do? Like,
if you want to.
Am I doing it right? Is that how you do it? You should see me palm a basketball. It's impressive. All right, I'm Mark. I don't know what my name for the world is. Mark Allen Miller. Mark Miller.
That's kind of your call.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm the co-head of Seraphim Films, and you just watched Wu Manchu Chronicles.
These are the Wu Manchu Chronicles. All right. I'm Mark Allen Miller. I'm the co-head of Seraphim Films, and you're watching the Wu Manchu Chronicles.
Hey, Sareth, what if we get one closer up on Mark with just the painting in the background and get him to do it?
Yeah? Awesome.
I think that'd look pretty cool.
What am I, your fucking monkey?
Yeah. Right now you are. I leave to you, sir.
All you gotta do is tilt the camera. It's on a...
Yeah, sir.
Yeah, it's on a thing.
Perfect.
Good?
I think.
Good headline. And...
There you are.
Are we recording?
Uh-huh.
Oh, alright, cool. Alright.